Shalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rūpa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rūpam Sagra Jatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhamritamsha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So welcome to the Śikṣā sessions every Friday and Saturday. Yesterday we could not have the class because of some emergency sevas. So we had to cancel yesterday's class. So we will just recap what we discussed in the last week. After discussing the definition of pure devotional service and then the lakshana, the symptoms of pure devotional service, then the next theme, if you remember, was what is Krishna Prem and the different gradations in Krishna Prem we saw. There is Bhava and then there is Prema, and within Prema there are these different stages. There are 7 stages, higher levels of stages in Prema like Mana, Pranaya, Raga, Anuraga, Bhava, Mahabhava, like that. So all that Mahaprabhu discusses. And then we came to the topic of what is direct and indirect transcendental mellows or rasas. Mukhya and Gaun. What are the Mukhya rasas and the Gaun rasas? The primary rasas and the secondary rasas. So in the last week class, we discussed the Mukhya rasas. And we, in brief, if you can say, went into the concept of rasa. How different bhavas combine together and give rise to rasa. And one of the main bhavas, prominent bhava, which has to be there as the essential ingredient for rasa is the stahi bhav. The sthahi bhav is the permanent emotion in which the devotee has rasa with Krishna. It can be shanta, dasya, vatsalya, sakya, or madhurya. And this sthahi bhav, along with other samagri bhavs, the vibhava, anubhava, satviki bhav, sanchari bhav, along with that, when they combine together, they give rise to rasa. So we saw first these different rasas. What is Shantarati, Dasyarasi, Sakyarati, Vatsalarati, and Madhuryarati. We saw all the definitions. And then we came to what is Shantaras. There is Rati means, we discussed Rati means bhava or attraction, pure attraction towards Krishna. So first the Shantarati, Dasyarati, Sakyarati, Vatsalyarati, and Madhuryarati is described. So I was explaining how those who have Sakyarati, they will see Krishna always as friend. Those who have Vatsalyarati, they will always see Krishna as their child. And those who have Madhuryarati, attraction, they will always see Krishna as a lover. So based on these different ratis, there are different rasas. There is Shantaras, Vatsalya, Madhurya, and Sakya, and Dasya Rasa. So these ratis, combining with the Vibhav and other things, they give rise to these different rasas. So this was about the Shantaras and the Shanta Rati. So any questions or clarifications up till now, what we discussed? Till we now begin with the next topic, the indirect mellows or the secondary rasas. Anyone has any questions or clarifications? This is what we have discussed up till the last class. Okay, so now let us go to text 186. Now in text 186, Mahaprabhu describing the secondary rasas. Hasyodbhutastata viraha karuno raudrayatyapi bhayanaka sa bhibitsaha iti gaunascha saptadha. Besides the 5 direct mellows, there are 7 indirect mellows known as laughter, hasya, wonder, adbhuta, chivalry, virya, karuna, compassion, raudra, anger, bhayanak, disaster, and bibhatsa, fear. So Prabhupada just mentions in his purport that this verse is found in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 25116. As I had mentioned that Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1 is the Eastern division, and it has 4 waves, laharis they are called. Samanya Bhakti, Sadhana Bhakti, Bhava Bhakti, and Prema Bhakti. The southern division is 2. And in the southern division, there are 5 laharis or waves. Then there is Vibhava, Anubhava, Vibhava, Anubhava, Stahi Bhav, Sanchari Bhav, and Satviki Bhav. So like that. So there, in the southern division, in the 5th wave, 5th lavari, in 116, this is the verse which is quoted as the 7 gaun rasas. Text 187. Hasya adbhut virya karuna raudra bibitsa bhaya panchavidha bhakte gauna sapta rasa hoya. In addition to the 5 direct mellows, Panchavidha Bhakti, there are 7 indirect mellows, Gauna Sapta Rasa Hoy, known as laughter, wonder, chivalry, compassion, anger, disaster, and fear. Now, just to give a idea, everyone has an experience of fear in this material world. There is fear, the fear of material existence, the fear when you are in a very dangerous situation, Now, these are basically emotions. Fear is an emotion. It is the emotion of the mind. But these emotions are because of material illusion, where we have fear of death. But the soul is deathless. Because of avidya and illusion, we go through these different kinds of emotions. Anger is also an emotion. It is also manifested in the mind. Compassion is also an emotion. It is again manifested from the mind. But real spiritual compassion springs from the soul. So chivalry is also a rasa which is manifested in the material sense from the body and the mind. And wonder when we see something wonderful in this world. Wow, what is this? So there is an emotion, and laughter is also an emotion. So all these emotions, what we experience in this world, these are but perverted reflections of the original spiritual emotions experienced from the spiritual stratum, from the spiritual platform. So fear also is there in the spiritual world as an emotion, but that fear increases rasa to become closer to Krishna. So like that, all these is a very vast science, and when we study the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Southern Division, that time we can look into more quite exhaustively on this subject. Let us now see Prabhupada's purport on this. Hasya Adbhuta Veera Karuna Raudra Bhaya Bibitsa, the 7 indirect mellows are explained in the 4th part of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So the 4th part now means the eastern, southern, western, northern division. So in the western division, that is Paschima Vibhaga, the 5 rasas, after discussing the ingredients of rasa in the southern division, maybe I have to show the slide, then it becomes still more clear. Let me show the slide to you so that yes. Okay. Okay, let me now share the screen. I hope you're able to see. So just like a ocean has 4 main directions, the east, west, south, and north, the types of bhakti are discussed in the eastern division. As I mentioned, Samanya Bhakti, Sadhana Bhakti, Bhava Bhakti, and Prema Bhakti, 4 laharis. There are waves. The southern division discusses the ingredients of rasa, Vibhava, Anubhava, Sthayi Bhav, Satviki Bhav, and Sanchari Bhav. The western division discusses the Mukhya rasas, Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. The northern discusses the Gaun rasas. And then there are 7 Gaun rasas. 2 chapters deal with compatible and incompatible mixture of rasas. So here again, it is put here. You can see Eastern Division, varieties of bhakti, Southern Division, overview of rasa, Western Division, the primary rasas, and the Northern Division is the secondary rasas. 7 rasas are there, then mixture of mellows and distorted mellows. That is what mellows can be compatible and incompatible. So I'm just giving you a bird's eye view of what entirely the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu composes of. So this is now 4th part, that is the northern division where the rasas are discussed. So let us briefly discuss what Prabhupada is mentioning, the definitions of all these rasas. So every emotion what is experienced in the heart, Now here heart means I'm speaking about the soul. Uh, every emotion can be expressed in a language, and that language is Sanskrit. That's why Sanskrit is such a beautiful language that everything what you want to say can be expressed easily. The right uh, state and the emotion can be expressed. So Hasya Rasa has a definition. Hasya Bhakti Ras, laughing devotion, is explained in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Vakshamaner vibhavade pushtim hasya ratir gata hasya bhakti raso nama puder esha nigadyate. When through devotional service, a laughing attachment to Krishna is developed, it is called Hasya Bhakti Ras by learned scholars. So here it is very important, when through devotional service, a laughing attachment to Krishna is developed. So here there are two important things to be understood about Hasya Bhakti Ras. Firstly, it is devotional service. It is part of devotional service. Secondly, this leads to attachment to Krishna. So many times, those who go for morning walks and in the garden, they clap their hands and then laugh just to, keep all the tensions away and, keep the mind cool and make themselves feel good and feel happy. But that is not devotional service, firstly. And that is not going to increase our attachment to Krishna. So here it is very important that the happiness what we experience or the laughter what we experience, it has to be related to devotional service, and it should bring deeper attachment to Krishna. So then it is Hasya Bhakti Ras. So let me just give you one pastime which is described in the Krishna book. When Krishna and the friends were all playing together on the Govardhan hill, then Krishna got tired and he went to rest below a tree. And all the friends of Krishna were fanning Krishna. And one of the friends took a flower, and this flower he kept very close to the nostrils of Krishna. Krishna was in deep sleep. Suddenly, because of the smell of the nostril, smell of the flower, Krishna's sleep broke, and Krishna suddenly got up, and all the friends started laughing and clapping, So this kind of, fun games which Krishna has with his friends, which create laughter. So this in devotional service increases their attachment to Krishna, and this is Hasya Bhakti Ras. Similarly, Adbhut Ras is described in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, again in the northern division. Atmochitter vibhavade swayatvam bhakti chetasi sa vismayaratir nitadbhuta bhakti raso bhave. When one's general attachment is fixed in wonder, vismayaratir, adbhuta, nitadbhuta, it is called Adbhut Bhakti Ras. Veer Bhakti Ras is described as follows. Saivotsah rati stahi vibhavader nijojita nijojita aniyamana swadyatvam veer bhakti raso bhave yuddhadana daya dharmesh chaturda virya uchyate. So Veer Bhakti Ras is given. Okay. When attachment to Krishna mixes with the bellicose tendency, the charitable tendency, and the merciful tendency in the heart of the devotee, such devotion is called Veer Bhakti Ras. Karuna Bhakti Ras is described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Atmuchitter vibhavader Nita pushtim satam ridi avechokaratir bhakti raso hi karuna bidha. When one's devotional attitude and attachment for Krishna is mixed with lamentation, it is called karuna bhakti ras. Similarly, Rauda Bhakti Ras is defined as follows. Nita Krodharati Pushtim Vibhavadir Nijo Chite Hridhi Bhakta Janasyaso Raudra Bhakti Raso Bhavet. When devotion is mixed with anger in the heart of the devotee, the taste is called Raudra Bhakti Ras. So this anger is spiritual anger, it is not material anger. Bhayanak Bhakti Ras is described as follows. Pakshamaner vibhavade pushtim bhaya ratirgata bhayanakabido bhakti raso tirer udirate. When devotion is mixed with fear, it is called bhayanak bhakti ras. Bibhatsa bhakti ras is described as follows. Pushtim nija vibhavader jugupsa ratir agata aso bhakti raso direr bibhatsyakya iriyate. When one's attachment for Krishna develops in an abominable way and the devotee enjoys it, that is called bibhatsa bhakti ras. Of course, to understand each of these gaun rasas, uh, what exactly it defines and how to understand that particular emotion is a subject matter of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. We'll have to study both the Mukhya Ras and the Gaun Ras, and then we will get a clear understanding. In conclusion, when a pure devotee is situated in any of the five principal mellows, Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya, and that mellow is mixed with one or more of the seven indirect Bhakti Rasas, Hasya, Adbhut, Veer, Karuna, Raudra, Bhayanak, and Vibhatsa, the indirect mellows become prominent. So most important is to understand that the Mukhya Rasas always is there in the heart of the devotee because that is the prominent rasa, that is the Sthahi Bhav. The friends of Krishna, they are in Sakya Ras. So their Sthahi Bhav is not going to change to Madhurya or Vatsalya. It is always going to be Sakya. The Gaun Rasas, what they do is they further mix with the Mukhya Rasas and further embellish the Mukhya Rasa. This is very important to understand. And not only that, sometimes when the Gaun Rasas mix with the Mukhya Rasas, the Gaun Rasas become prominent. Like Krishna, while his, this pastime I was explaining that Krishna's friends, after they put a nose in front of the nostrils and Krishna suddenly got up and started sneezing, all the friends of Krishna were laughing. So when that Hasya Ras they are experiencing, the Hasya Ras becomes prominent for some time. And the Mukhya Ras is, subsided. So, but the Hasya Ras cannot continue. It comes for some time and then it stays and then goes away. But the Stahi Bhav or the Mukhya Ras, that is the Sakya Ras, continues to remain. And sometimes the Gaun Rasas become prominent. It's not that, all the time, there is Raudra anger. All the time there is Bhayanak. These rasas are not experienced continuously. Even in this material world, nobody can become angry for 24 hours. What to speak 24 hours, even 10 hours or 1 hour. Anger is there, that emotion comes and it gets subsided after some time. So these are the Gaun Rasas. Text 188. If you have any questions, you are free to raise your hands and we can take up. Yes, Birendra Yadav Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. To
Yes.
just one clarification I wanted. This God Rasa, this also has five components of this Bhav, Anubhav, Sthai Bhav. I mean, this God Rasa, this also has five components.
No, this is misconception. Firstly, we need to understand. Okay, let me go back to that picture. Yes. Actually, rasa has 5 components. Rasa has 5 components. And these 5 components, the stahi bhav is the prominent, it's the main component. And these others are samagris. So, the anubhav, vibhav, sanchari bhav, and satik bhav all combine together and give rise to rasa. And there is shantaras, dhasiras, vatsalaras, and madhuryaras. Now, these components together give rise to these 5 types of rasas. Similarly, the secondary rasas, there is like no stahi bhav there. There is no stahi bhav which, is there as the main component of rasa. That I am having a stahi bhav of continuous anger towards Krishna. There are other components, but we cannot say that all the components, all the bhavas are there. But I'll also have to go through the southern division to get still more a clear understanding about it. But from the discussion in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, these 5 rasas give rise to the primary rasas. These 5 bhavas give rise to the 5 rasas and the secondary rasas. But the stahi bhav is there in the primary rasas. The primary rasas always existing. Whereas the other vibhavas, like vibhava can come and play with laughter and then give rise to, along with the stahi bhav, along with the mukhya rasa, give rise to a gaun rasa. So that is the general understanding what I have. I hope it is clear, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. Next verse of Chaitanya-Caritāmṛta. 9 we are in. पंचरस स्थाहि व्यापे रहे भक्ते मने सप्त गौन आगुणतो पाए करने. The 5 direct transcendental mellows of devotional service are permanently situated in the heart of the devotee. Pancharasa stahi vyapi rahe bhakte mane. So exactly this is the question you had asked. These primary rasas are always residing in the heart of the pure devotee. Whereas the 7 indirect emotions, I was explaining these rasas are emotions, so Prabhupada is using that here in the translation. Whereas the 7 indirect emotions appear suddenly under certain conditions and appear more powerful. Sapta gauna a ganutta paye karane. So they suddenly appear, these gaun rasas, and they become more prominent and powerful. Shanta bhakta navayogendra sanakadi aur dasya bhave bhakta sarvatra sevaka apar. Examples. Now, the examples in Shantaras. Now, Shant is Mukhya Ras, so please remember. Example of Shant Bhaktas are the 9 Navyogendras. They are called as the Yogendras, Navyogendras. And the 4 Kumaras, examples of devotee in Dasya Bhakta, are innumerable. Apar, for such devotees exist everywhere. So in the entire Vaikuntha, you can find Mostly there is Dasya Bhav. The 9 Yogendras are Kavi, Havi, Antariksha, Prabuddha, Vipalayana, Avirhotra, Dravida, Durmila, Chamasa, and Karbajan. The 4 Kumaras are Sanak, Sanatan, Sanatan, and Sanat Kumar. The servant devotees in Gokul are Raktak, Chitrak, Patrak, and so on. These are in Dasya Ras in Gokul. In Dwarka, there are servants like Daruka. And in the Lord's pastime, in the material world, there are servants like Hanuman. So these are all Dasya Ras here in Vaikuntras. And then there is Dasya in Gokul. Okay, there is a question. Yes, Prabhuji?
What do you mean by Mukhya Ras? I was not attending earlier classes. Mukhya Ras. You said Shanta Ras
There
is
are
Mukhya
5
Ras.
primary rasas: Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalyam, Madhurya. These are called as the primary rasas.
Okay. Mukhya Ras means primary rasa.
Primary rasas.
Okay.
5 rasas. Sakya Bhakta Shridamadi Pure Bhimarjuna Vatsalya Bhakta Mata Pita Yata Guru Jana. In Vrindavan, examples of devotees in fraternity are Sridhama and Sudhama. So the Sakya Ras, after Shant examples and Dasya examples, Sakya examples have been given. Sridhama and Sudhama. These are friends of Krishna in Sakya Ras. In Dwarka, the Lord's friends are Bhima and Arjuna. Pure means in the city, Puri. Jagannath Puri, as we say, na? Dwarka Puri, we say. Bhima and Arjuna. In Vrindavan, the devotees in parental love are Mother Yashoda and Father Nand Maharaj. Vatsalya Bhakta Mata Pita. And in Dwarka, the Lord's parents are Vasudev and Devaki. So both have been given here in the translation. There is also other superior persons who are devotees in parental love. Yata Guru Jan, like Sandipuni Muni, he has a Vatsalya rati towards the Lord. Madhurasya Bhakta Mukha Vraje Gopigan Maheshi Gana Lakshmi Gana Asankhya Ganana. The chief devotees in conjugal love are the gopis in Vrindavan. Madhurya Ras. Now Sakya Vatsalya is done, now the last. They are the gopis. The queens in Dwarka, Maheshi Gan, and the goddess of fortune in Vaikuntha, Lakshmi Gan. These devotees are innumerable. Asankhya Ganana. So this is where we finish discussing now the direct and indirect mellows. Now the next few themes are remaining, which is we will be finishing another 2 classes. That will end the Rūpa Śikṣā. 2 types of attachment for Krishna, with and without reverence. Now here if you see, there is a Sakya Ras of Sridhama and Sudhama. There is also Sakya Ras between Bhima and Arjuna. There is Vatsalya Ras or Vatsalya Rati, which Mother Yashoda and Nand Maharaj have towards Krishna. And there is also Vasudeva and Devaki. Even in Madhurya Ras, Rati, there are the gopis, there are the Maheshis, the queens in Dwarka, and the Lakshmis in Vaikuntha. So is there any difference between the Sakras of Sridhama and the Sakras of Bhima and Arjuna, and the Vatsalya Ras of Nand Maharaj and Yashoda and Vasudeva and Devaki, and the Madhurya Ras in the gopis, in the queens, and in the Lakshmis? Is there any difference? Yes, Partha.
Yes, Prabhu. Prabhuji, one kind of devotee knows that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whereas the other kind of devotee, they do not know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they are interacting with him.
Okay. Yeah, that's good understanding. Amal Bhakti Rani Mataji had raised her hand. Yes, Mataji, you would like to say anything?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, the gopis have pure love without any, it's just pure attachment, and it's without any reverence, basically. It's
this is about the gopis. What about the
gopis
queens?
And the queens, they are in awe of Krishna, basically, of his
The queens of Krishna also have pure love, attachment for Krishna.
yeah, attachment, but this is out of reverence, I think.
Awe and reverence. Okay, what are the terminologies which we use to differentiate between the two? What are the terminologies we will use specially? Anyone knows? There are two terminologies in this context we use to understand between the rasa difference in Vaikuntha and Golok, between the devotees of Krishna and Krishna. Yes.
Parakya and Parkriya.
No, Parakya and Swakya is within the Madhurya Ras. There is wedded and unwedded love. But you have spoken about that term in English, awe and reverence. But what is the terms what are the terminologies used to understand this? Yes, Parsarthi Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Aishwarya Bhav. This awe and reverence.
Then other one is
Madhurya Bhav.
Yes. We don't say bhav, Aishwarya Gyan and Madhurya Gyan. The friends of Krishna in Golok, or Nand Maharaj, Yashoda, the gopis, they have pure Madhurya. And they don't have Aishwarya Gyan about Krishna, that Krishna is supreme. They don't recognize Krishna as God. That is the Brajvasis. The Brajvasis also don't recognize Krishna as God, and materialist people in the material world also don't recognize Krishna as God. But there is a lot of difference. Out of pure love, pure Madhurya. Madhurya is sweetness here. It's not Madhurya Ras we are speaking here. The pure sweetness, and they have pure prema towards the Lord. And because of that prema, it completely overshadows the complete majestic aspect of the Lord as, the controller, the enjoyer. The Lord is my lover, the Lord is my son, the Lord is my friend. So this type of pure intimacy the Brajvasis have, and in that intimacy they practice devotion, which is called as Ragatmika. So this is the difference. So this is the subject matter what will be discussed now in this two types of attachment for Krishna, with and without reverence. Puna Krishna Rati hoy Dvaita Prakara Aishwarya Jnana Mishra Kevala Bheda Ara. Attachment for Krishna is divided into two categories. Puna Krishna Rati. Krishna Rati I mentioned is attraction or attachment. Hoy Dvaita Prakar, it is divided into two categories. One is attachment with awe and reverence, Aishwarya Jnana Mishra. As I mentioned, the term is Aishwarya Jnana. And the other is pure attachment without reverence, Kevala Bheda Ar. So here Aishwarya and Kevala is the term which is being used in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Goloke Kevala Rati Aishwarya Jnana Hina Puri Dvaya Vaikuntadya Aishwara Pravina. Pure attachment without reverence, Kevala Rati is found in Golok, Vrindavan. Gokule means in Gokul. Attachment in which awe and reverence are prominent, Aishwarya Pravina, is found in two cities, Puri Dvaya. Dvaya means two. So there is Dwarkapuri and Mathurapuri. And in Vaikuntha, Vaikuntadya. So two Puris, and in Vaikuntha there is Aishwarya prominent. Aishwarya Jnana Pradhanye Sankuchita Priti Dekyana Mane Aishwarya Kevalar Riti. When opulence is very prominent, Aishwarya Jnana Pradhane, love of Godhead is somewhat Palled. Sankuchita Priti. Priti, the love. Sankuchit. Sankuchit means it becomes contracted. Sometimes we say, if somebody is not very charitable, he's got a very crippled heart, or he's got a, iska chetana bahut sankuchit hai, you say, no? So similarly, when the Aishwarya Gyan is Pradhan, there is Sankuchita Priti. According to Kevala devotion, however, even though the devotees see the unlimited potency of Krishna, Dekiya na mane Aishwarya Kevala Riti. He considers himself equal to him. Now, it's very interesting that Krishna shows his unlimited opulence, unlimited potency, even in the Vraj pastimes. Like you can imagine, Krishna is lifting the Govardhan hill with his left and the last finger. It is unlimited potency in one sense. As he would, manifest his Aishwarya, opulence of power in his Dwarka or Mathura pastimes. But the love of the Brajvasis for Krishna, the pure attachment of the Brajvasis towards Krishna is so deep that it completely overshadows the Aishwarya Gyan. It's not that the Aishwarya Gyan, they don't see the opulence of Krishna and Braj. They see when Krishna performs unlimited pastimes of killing the Asuras and lifting the Govardhan hill. But their love is so deep that it completely overshadows the Aishwarya Gyan. Now, to understand this is not so easy. So there is an example to illustrate this. Especially in Bengal, in Mayapur, I have seen that the milkman, he carries milk in steel barrels, and they put some grass in the milk so that the milk doesn't get spoiled while being carried. So sometimes when you are boiling this milk and there is grass, now when the milk boils, the grass also comes on top and it stays there. So this is like Aishwarya Gyan. Sometimes Krishna, when he's relishing rasa with his Dwarka or Vaikunta devotees, when Krishna exhibits his opulence, it's like the grass coming up and the grass stays there. So because they have Aishwarya Gyan, oh, Krishna is Bhagwan, so let me maintain my distance. So the grass stays there. Whereas for the Gokul Vasis, like Mother Yashoda, who sees the unlimited opulence of Krishna, the grass comes up as you boil the milk, but it again goes down. So Krishna showed unlimited universes to Arjuna in his Virat Rūpa. It was external manifestation of Krishna expanding himself in the form of the Virata Purusha and all the universes he saw. But for Mother Yashoda, Krishna showed the unlimited universes in his mouth. And yet, for a moment, seeing this Aishwarya Gyan, Mother Yashoda's heart was perturbed. And she started a little bit thinking, oh, maybe my son is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But her pure Vatsalya Prem was so deep that it completely overshadowed. And then Mother Yashoda, oh, this is all a dream. It's an illusion. No, my child, come. So the grass goes up along with the milk, but again it goes down and never comes up again. So this is the difference between the Aishwarya Gyan and the pure Madhurya, attachment which the Brajvasis have. Shanta dasya rase Aishwarya kahan uddipana Vatsalya sakya madhuryata kare sankochana. On the transcendental platform of neutrality and service, Shanta Dasya Rase, sometimes the opulence of the Lord is a prominent stimulus. Aishwarya Kahan Uddipan. Uddipan, I mentioned, is a stimulus. Within Vibhav, there is a division. Vibhav is also that which stimulates the Sthai Bhav. And within Vibhav, there is, okay, let me show that. Otherwise, it will be difficult without the slides to understand this. Yes. So, you know that there is Vibhav. Vibhav is that which stimulates the Sthai Bhav. That which stimulates the Sthai Bhav is called as Vibhav. Like mother has love for the child, and the child has gone to the school, the mother is cleaning the child's room, and suddenly she sees the beautiful picture of Krishna, her child. Immediately her Vatsalya Prem is stimulated. So that picture, photo frame of the child acts as a stimulant. So that is called as Vibhav. So within Vibhav, there is Alamban. Alamban is the support. For rasa to exchange, there have to be two. There has to be reciprocation. So there is the Vishay and the Ashray. Vishay is the object of love. Ashray is the abode of love. The mother who is cleaning the child's room, the Vishay is her child. Ashray is her own heart, where she has Vatsalya Prem. So Mother Yashoda is the abode of love for Krishna, and the subject Vishay is Krishna. So this is Alamban. Uddipan are they are stimulants, they are stimulus, spiritual stimulus, which which also enhance the Sthai Bhav. These are, here I mentioned Alpan as somewhat. These are like in Sakyaras, the Uddipans are like bugle. Krishna blows his bugle, and the friends of Krishna, wow, now we are going to play with Krishna. So these stimulate the Sakyaras. For the Madhurya Ras, when the gopis see the flute or hear the flutes of Krishna, that stimulates their Madhurya Rati towards Krishna. So these are Uddipans. So here what is being mentioned in Chaitanya-Caritāmṛta is that Shanta Dasya Rase Aishwarya Kahan Uddipan. Sometimes they become Uddipan for the Aishwarya Ras. Aishwarya means the opulence of the Lord. They become a prominent spirit. But the transcendental meadows of fraternity, parental and conjugal are minimized by that opulence. So what happens is that although this Uddipan acts for the Shantaras, like just to give an example, like when the yogi who's meditating in Shantarati on the Virat Purusha, he actually might have a darshan of the Vishwarup. And that is like a Uddipan, just like Krishna had darshan, Arjuna had darshan of the Vishwarup. So that will act as a Uddipan for his Shantarati. His attraction towards the Lord will increase. That Rati will increase. It will act as a Uddipan, like the Vishwarup. But what is being mentioned, that in Vatsalya Satya Madhurya, Ta Kare Sankochan, they are minimized. Okay, now one example has been given here to understand this. Okay, let us take this first, what is being mentioned, and then we will see what is Kaviraj Goswami or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying. Vasudeva Devakira Krishna Charana Vandila Aishwarya Gyane Duhara Mane Bhaya. When Krishna offered prayers at the lotus feet of his mother and father, Vasudeva and Devaki, they both felt awe, reverence, and fear due to knowledge of his opulences. So here it was mentioned in the previous verse, if you mention that the Vatsalya, Sakya and Madhurya, they become Sankochan. Sankochan means they become minimized. When Aishwarya Gyan becomes prominent. In Shant and Dasya, they act as Uddipan. This Aishwarya Gyan act as Uddipan to increase Shant and Dasya. But in Vatsalya, it minimizes. The Vatsalya Prem minimizes. This is the point being explained. Let us take this example and understand. This is the verse which is quoted. Devaki Vasudevascha Vigyaya Jagatishvaro Krita Samvandano Putro Sasvajate Nasankito Sankito. When Devaki and Vasudeva understood that their two sons, Krishna and Balram, who had paid obeisances to them with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they became fearful and did not embrace them. So let us see this purport and try to understand. This verse quoted from the Srimad Bhagavatam 10:44-51 describes what happened just after the killing of Kamsa by Krishna and Balram. Vasudeva and Devaki saw their son kill the powerful demon Kamsa, and after this they were immediately released from their shackles. Balram and Krishna then offered respects to Devaki and Vasudeva. Both the father and the mother wanted to embrace their sons, but they understood that Krishna and Balram were the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they therefore hesitated to embrace them. Their parental love for Krishna and Balram was therefore hampered and decreased by awe and reverence. I hope the point is clear with the explanation of Srila Prabhupada. When both Krishna and Balram in that Kamsa's arena killed many of the demons, Chanur, Mushtik, Kulapid, all these big wrestlers who had come. And later on, how Kamsa was killed, we all know. Krishna went into that place where you're sitting on the top and dragged Kamsa and literally, just like a dhobi washes a cloth, he bait Kamsa and he dragged Kamsa's body. It was full with bloodshed. Everyone saw this scene. And after killing Kamsa, both Krishna and Balram went to their parents. The parents were still in shackle. The shackles were released. And Krishna and Balram were expecting that now their mothers will embrace us and hug us. But both the parents had knowledge about Krishna, that Krishna is Bhagwan. And if you all remember, both Vasudeva and Devaki, when they gave birth to Krishna, Krishna showed his Narayan Swarup. And then they offered prayers. And then Krishna manifested his child form. So Krishna, Vasudeva and Devaki have knowledge that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they now literally saw that such a powerful demon Kamsa, these two children, these are not two children, they are God. So this kind of knowledge, Aishwarya Gyan, when it entered their heart, their Vatsalya Prem became Sankuchit. And Krishna and Balram were now actually expecting that, our mothers will embrace, because after 11 years they are meeting, and embrace and kiss them and hug them and breastfeed them. Although Mother Yashoda Devaki was feeling like that, but still because of the Aishwarya Gyan, her Vatsalya Prem became crippled or hampered. So this is the point which is being made in this verse. Vatsalya Sakya Madhurya Takare Sankochana. And here the example is given of how in Vatsalya the Prem became Sankochit. Okay. Yes. There's one question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavad Pranam.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, just now you gave one example that grass in the mill. So Yashoda and Krishna and Devaki and Krishna, Yashoda doesn't know that he is a Bhagavan, and Yashoda knows his Aishwarya Bhav. So in Bhakti,
Come again, once again. You have to become a little clear. Yashoda doesn't know that Krishna is Bhagavan.
yes.
And Devaki has knowledge that Krishna is Bhagavan. Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
So in Bhakti, when we do Bhakti, then now we know that Krishna is Bhagavan, but still when I am doing Bhakti as a Krishna as a son, my son, so I am doing Bhakti. So which one is good to take? Means it is a Yashoda's Bhakti is good. Means what is, I don't know. And
I got your question. I understood your question. I understood your question. So the main point here is that for devotees who are sadhakas, who are practicing sadhana bhakti, we need to study Bhagavatam, study Bhagavad Gita, and get knowledge about Krishna. So just to give an example, Maya Sakta Panapartha Yogam Yunjan Madashaya Asamshayam Samagramam Yatha Gyasasi Tatshunu 7.1 in the Gita. Jnanam Teham Sa Vijnanam. That is the next verse. So Jnanam Teham Sa Vijnanam. This verse in the Bhagavad Gita 7.2, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions what is Jnana and Vijnana. So he gives a very interesting understanding of what is Gyan and Vigyan. He says Gyan means Aishwarya Gyan and Vigyan means Madhurya Gyan, the sweetness of Krishna. So he says that the more one understands how Krishna is supreme, how all the energies come from him, how Krishna manifests this world, that knowledge is given in the Bhagavad Gita in 7th chapter, in the 8th chapter, in the 9th chapter. So the more one attains Aishwarya Gyan, the more one becomes attached to Krishna, asaktamana. So the more sweetness of Krishna, that how Krishna lovingly reciprocates with his devotees. So a combination of Aishwarya and Madhurya is required. How Krishna reciprocates with his devotees, like Tesham Satata Yuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yenamam Payanti. This is Madhurya Gyan. Aishwarya Gyan is Bhumi Rapo Analo Vayu Kham Manor Buddhi Revacha Ahankariti Amme Bhinna Prakriti Ashtada. So to understand how Krishna manifests his Bhairanga Shakti, the 24 elements, the Jiva Shakti, how all these Shaktis, he is the source of it. So both the Aishwarya Gyan, as we cultivate the Aishwarya Gyan, our Madhurya Gyan, our attachment to Krishna, the sweetness, how Krishna, although he is having so much opulence, but yet he is such an intimate friend, well-wisher, Suridam, Sarva Bhutanam. So like that kind of an intimacy develops. So it's most important that our devotional service should not be based on the sentimental platform, but should be based on Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, based on specially the Bhagavad Sambandh Gyan given in our Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy in the Bhagavatam, in the Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya-Caritāmṛta. Now, secondly, as one practices sadhana bhakti and crosses anarth nivritti stage, one is qualified to practice raganuga sadhana. And in raganuga sadhana, one is naturally and spontaneously impelled by greed. It is called as lobha. It is spiritual greed. He is impelled by greed to follow in the footsteps of the Brajbasis. And that bhakti, which is followed in the footsteps of Brajbasis, is called as Raganuga Bhakti. So there also, the bhakti which internally he practices is impelled by lobha, and he wants to attain that particular mood of the Brajbasis in Vatsalya, in Sakya, in Madhurya, or in Dasya. But externally, he follows all the rules and regulations of Vaidhi Bhakti. Otherwise, the devotees around him will be disturbed. And very rarely, somebody who is very exalted only can actually understand the advancement of the devotee. If there is internally that mood of Raganuga Sadhaka, and externally he will never show off. If he starts showing off, then it will become Sahajiya. That's why we have to be very, very careful. And that's why even to practice Raganuga Sadhana, you need to be under a guidance of an expert spiritual master. So this is how these two aspects I discussed about what is Aishwarya Gyan and Madhurya Gyan. And secondly, how a Raganuga Sadhanaka behaves while internally cultivating Raganuga Bhakti, and externally he always follows the Vidhi rules and regulations in order to set an example to others. I hope it is clear, Mataji. Yes. Parth, yes, Prabhuji, you have a question? Yeah, I've unmuted it.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Here, when the Lord was lifting Govardhana hill for 7 days and 7 nights, it's very hard to understand how Yashoda Mai and Nanda Maharaj can still, even during that time, have just motherly, just parental love for Krishna. A son has limitations, no? So it's very hard to understand that what were they thinking that that son is so strong.
It's a matter of rasa, especially in Golok Vrindavan. The rasa or the pure attachment out of love is so deep that it completely eclipses or overshadows the Aishwarya feature of the Lord. Now, in fact, it's difficult to fathom also. But just to give an example, just like a mother in this world has a loving child, but the child somehow becomes wicked and starts doing all notorious activities. And even when he is imprisoned, when the mother goes to see the son, although she feels compassion, but her love for the son is there. So that we see in this world also. But the rasa in the Gokul, or the love of the Brajbasis is so deep that any opulence exhibited by the Lord is completely overshadowed. In fact, the Lord doesn't exhibit the opulence in Golok Vrindavan, in fact, at all. But in some of the pastimes, he exhibits. He definitely exhibits. But even when he exhibits, the Brajbasis' deep attachment and love is so deep that it, although it manifests like the grass comes up on the surface, but still the grass goes down. The Aishwarya feature comes up, but it doesn't stay for long. It comes down. But for others who are having Aishwarya Gyan, the grass comes up and it stays there. So that is how we can understand through analogies. It's a matter of rasa. It's a matter of experience, which we don't have. Is it clear, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
So further, we will discuss in the next week what Kaviraj Goswami has to say about Kevala and Aishwarya. We discussed how this Vatsalya, Sakya and Madhurya, Sankochit, how it happens. Whereas Shanta and Dasya, the Aishwarya acts as a Udipan to increase this attachment to Krishna, but this decreases the attachment for these three rasas. So we saw this example. Further, we will discuss in the next class. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Kaviraj Das Goswami ki jai. Shri Chaitanya-Caritāmṛta ki jai. Any questions or clarifications you have? Okay, Virendra Yadav Prabhuji. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Dhammatna. So this verse 195 translation, Prabhu, just if you can open.
195 of Chaitanya-Caritāmṛta.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
Same, this 19th chapter.
Yes, Prabhu. 195. Just we opened.
19. What is it? 190?
195. On the transcendental platform of neutrality and service, sometimes the opulence of God.
One second. Okay, this is there in the slide. I thought it is not. Yes.
Yes. So this first line, it says, on the transcendental platform of neutrality and service, sometimes the opulence of Lord is prominent. This, in case of neutrality and service, I mean, Santa and Dasras, this opulence of Lord is always prominent.
Yes, it is always prominent. It is always prominent. In these two rasas, Shanta and Dasya, always the devotees are in constant knowledge. Oh, Lord means what? He is the creator, he is the maintainer. So in Shanta, it is more prominent, and that's why there is no love manifesting in the form of service. In Dasya also, there is some service from far. Oh, the Lord is, Vibhu, I am Anu, I have to serve from the Lord. He is master, I am servant. So there is the love has, taken one step ahead, but still there is no intimacy there because of the, greatness of the Lord as master and the minuteness of the jiva, that how insignificant I am. So the distance is still maintained. That's why always that gyan is there. That in Vaikuntha, oh, who is Narayan? He is our master. He is our Prabhu. So like that, it is always prominent. Yes, you're true. It's right.
Here, Prabhuji, it is written sometimes. That's why I got confused in the translation.
Sometimes the opulence of the Lord is a prominent stimulus. It is a stimulus. It is a uddipan.
Right.
It becomes an uddipan. Always that rati is there. Shant rati and dasa rati is there. But the Shant rati is further stimulated by these uddipans sometimes.
You got the point. Thank you.
Got the point?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much.